What happens when your superstar, Caitlin Clark, is out, yet your team still humiliates its biggest so-called rival? The Indiana Fever just answered that question with a 92-70 beatdown over the Chicago Sky, breaking 6 records in the process. You're about to find out how Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, Michaela Timpson, and Kelsey Mitchell turned this night into pure domination, while making Angel Reese's squad look completely lost out there and in shambles. Imagine going up for a layup and feeling like the rim just vanished because a brick wall appeared in front of you. That's what Chicago dealt with every time Aaliyah Boston patrolled the paint. She's now sitting third all-time in Fever history for career blocks, racking up 132 blocks in just 112 games. That's not luck. That's sustained dominance from someone only in her 3rd season. And here's what made it even sweeter for Indiana fans. They did this without Caitlin Clark. The easy narrative was that, without their star floor general, the Fever's defense would lose its shape. People thought the paint would open up for Chicago's bigs. Instead, Boston turned it into a no-fly zone. In the opening quarter, with Chicago trying to push the pace, she erased a layup so cleanly the ball bounced right back to midcourt. That block wasn't just a stop. It shifted the rhythm instantly, giving Indiana momentum they never let go of. Aaliyah Boston, she remembers the days at South Carolina. The practices at South Carolina, beating up on good old Camila Cardoso. She sees Camila Cardoso and she says, oh, this is food. This is a player, this is a matchup I can continue to be aggressive on. This is a player that no matter how good Camila may be or may not be, I will always be able to own her. Boston's timing is unreal. She averages well over a block per game while rarely gambling herself out of position. It's the kind of discipline that forces opponents to rethink driving at all. By the second half, Chicago was pulling up for awkward mid-range shots, clearly tired of getting sent away at the rim. That's what an elite paint anchor does. Changes the way the other team even attempts to score. And Chicago, they couldn't adjust. Possession after possession, they went inside and got nothing. Misses turned into Indiana rebounds, and the Sky looked desperate. Every failure inside only made Boston's presence grow larger in their heads. Combine that with the fact that this was in a rivalry game, and you've got a milestone that's more than just a number. It's a statement. It was about setting a tone in one of the most important games of the season. Boston's performance didn't just contribute to the win. It helped fuel a 22-point dismantling that left the Sky embarrassed on their own drives. And while Boston owned the paint, someone else was making sure Chicago couldn't breathe on the perimeter, snatching passes, draining shots, and hitting 2 milestones of her own in the process. How often do you see someone hit a career milestone on defense and torch the scoreboard on the same night? That's exactly what Lexi Hull did against Chicago. She didn't just snag her 100th career steal, she turned the game into her personal highlight reel. This wasn't a quiet achievement either. It was proof that she's grown into a real two-way threat that opposing guards can't ignore. With Caitlin Clark sidelined and both Erie McDonald and Sydney Colson out for the season due to injuries, Hull's role got a lot heavier. She wasn't just filling in minutes. She was taking on the responsibility of stretching the floor, defending the perimeter, and keeping the offense moving. That's a lot for anyone to handle, but she looked like she'd been preparing for it all season. She dropped 17 points on 5 of 9 shooting, knocking down 4 of her 6 attempts from deep, and every one of them felt like a gut punch to the Sky, and giving Hull a season high in the process. Chicago tried to run her off the line, but Hull's release was too quick. Early in the second half, she drilled one from the corner over an outstretched defender, forcing the Sky to scramble on rotations. By the fourth quarter, with the Fever already on top, she buried another 3 from way beyond the arc that had the crowd roaring. That shot didn't just add points. It made it clear the Sky had no answers left. Her defense was just as sharp. That 100th steal didn't come on a lazy pass. It came from anticipating the play, reading the ball handler, and snatching it clean to flip the possession. Teammates said afterward that they trust her jumper every time she lets it fly, and the way she played, you could see why. The confidence was contagious. The bench was on its feet, fans were buzzing, and the energy level never dipped. Hull showed that she can be a momentum shifter on both sides of the ball, even without being the headline name. Her scoring spree didn't just maintain Indiana's lead. It turned what was already a lopsided game into a public embarrassment for Chicago. I mean, it's fun, that the crowd was behind us today. It's fun to walk out of the gym on a high note and on a make, and yeah, I mean, I saw the time going down, so I was trying to pull out my inner Kelsey Mitchell. And while Hull was lighting it up from outside, there were a couple of Fever players making their presence felt closer to the rim, proving that hustle stats can swing a game just as much as a barrage of threes. What happens when your top scorer also decides she's going to run the offense as point guard? Against Chicago, Kelsey Mitchell didn't just lead Indiana in points. She turned into their main playmaker too. She finished with 26 points and a season-high 8 assists, and that combination put her at the top of the WNBA scoring list this season. That's not a coincidence. That's someone adjusting their game to whatever the team needs and making it look natural. Mitchell had to hold 2 jobs at once. Still hunt her own shot and make sure the offense flowed. It could have slowed her down, but it didn't. Early in the first quarter, she drove hard down the lane, drew 2 defenders, then kicked it right out to Lexi Hull for a wide-open 3. Later, she ran a pick-and-roll with Aaliyah Boston that ended in a perfect lob for a layup. These weren't basic passes. They were momentum plays that kept Chicago scrambling. Sophie Cunningham gave her some relief by handling the ball on a few possessions, which let Mitchell slide back into attack mode without losing ball movement. That balance kept the Fever's offense unpredictable. Sometimes Mitchell was creating. Sometimes she was sprinting off the ball for a quick pull-up jumper. The Sky never figured it out. Meanwhile, Michaela Timpson's contribution won't make the headlines, but had a real impact. In just 7 minutes, she pulled down a career high in rebounds. Those extra possessions mattered. A couple of times she grabbed boards in heavy traffic, turned, and immediately fired the outlet to start the break. Other times, she closed defensive trips by sealing her opponent under the rim, ensuring Chicago got no second-chance shots. It was gritty, physical work that doesn't always get noticed during scoring runs, but it kept Indiana in control of the pace. What stands out about Timpson's rebounding is how efficient she was in such limited minutes. Every time she checked in, she made her presence felt instantly. That energy gave the starters short stretches of rest without the team losing their edge. Against a Sky team already showing frustration and body language that screamed, "We're done here," those extra possessions were like turning the knife. Mitchell's ability to lead in 2 statistical categories, points and assists, while keeping the offense sharp, shows why she's more than just a scorer. Pair that with a rookie like Timpson stepping up in a pressure game, and you start to see the bigger picture. This wasn't one player saving the night. This was depth stepping into tough roles, producing, and crushing an opponent's will in the process. And the reality for Chicago is brutal. A Fever team missing its biggest star just handled them from tip to buzzer. Imagine what's coming when that star is back and healthy. Picture a team that just proved they can take down anyone without their superstar. Now imagine what happens when Caitlin Clark steps back on the floor with them. That 92-70 blowout of Chicago wasn't an accident, and it wasn't a one-time fluke. It looked like a preview of what the Fever can be at full strength, dangerous from every position, locked in on defense, and confident enough to control the game from start to finish. We won every quarter. This was a steady beatdown from start to finish. Every quarter, we build the lead, we add more, we add more, we add more, and the next thing you know, you look up, and the Indiana Fever have a lead of 25 points. Chicago Sky suck. We need to beat the teams we're supposed to beat. And the Chicago Sky are one of those teams. For weeks, doubters claimed Indiana was built around one player and would crumble without her. Then they went out and swept Chicago 4 times in one season, and having a 7-win and 1-loss record against their so-called rivals over the span of 2 years, each win leaving the Sky more frustrated than the last. This latest matchup wasn't about just holding on. It was about proving they can step on the gas without their most famous name and still dominate. Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of this group. I think we've shown all season long, like, they're resilient, they're connected, they pull for each other, they enjoy one another, they celebrate one another, and, that stuff alone is good for 10 to 12 points a game. And, for this group, the way that they share the ball, how unselfish they are. I mean, I'm really proud of them. It's not been ideal circumstances all season long, but they've shown the character of who they are. They've been resilient. They've responded, to adversity, and they continue to elevate one another. And, I couldn't be more proud, of this group than I am at this moment. Aaliyah Boston moved into third all-time in franchise blocks. Lexi Hull hit her 100th career steal while dropping a season high in points. Kelsey Mitchell ran the offense with her season best assist total and now leads all scorers in the WNBA. And Michaela Timpson came in with relentless rebounding. None of those performances take anything away from Clark. They give her a foundation to build on. I think it just says a lot about who we have as human beings. That was one of the things that we made a priority in the off season. Who we bring into this organization. Number one, quality human beings, selfless human beings, that want to pull for one another, that understand, we have this depth for a reason, and sometimes it creates challenges getting people on the floor, but in situations like this is why you have it. And, I'm just, she's right. I mean, as a pro, and as a pro coach, this is one of the most connected groups I've seen. I mean, that depth matters right now with the playoff race heating up. Every statement win pushes the Fever higher in the standings and tougher to game plan against. It also sends a clear message. This isn't a group just happy to make the postseason. They want to make noise when they get there. And when Clark returns, all of this, Boston's wall in the paint, Hull's shooting, Mitchell's dual threat game, Timpson's energy, will still be in place. That's when the rest of the league's bad nights against Indiana turn into their worst nightmares. This game showed the Fever aren't just riding one player's star power. Even without Caitlin Clark, they outclassed a rival by 22, controlled the pace, and broke 6 different records in the process. That's depth with purpose, not just filling minutes. When Clark returns, this same core will make Indiana even tougher to stop. Her presence will only amplify what Boston, Hull, Mitchell, and Timpson already bring. And Chicago? 4 straight losses to the same opponent says it all. Every win over them sharpens Indiana's edge and fuels a playoff run that could make this rivalry even more one-sided.